All right. Well, hi, Jenny.
Hey.
Howdy.
Hello.
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 Okay, so my list, and again, anyone can insert in their items anytime they want. The first one I have is attachments to 3D are hit with energy waves.
Mhm.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know, I mean, if anyone's been looking at the Schumann resonance and whatnot, and that doesn't tell all of it. That's only giving a small picture, but we're constantly being hit with energy waves. Not
I
just
can feel it.
not just from the sun, it's from the galactic sun, it's from who knows where. But so it's activating people, it's probably deactivating certain things, it's bringing forward certain things, pushing other things back, it's changing our DNA, it's doing all kinds of things. But one of the things it's doing is it's hitting our 3D attachments and it's making them active. Whatever that is to you, but it's making you confront them. Even
Right.
if you say, I don't want to deal with it right now, but it's not going to be quiet. They're not, your 3D attachments are not going to be quiet.
I agree with that completely.
Bell, each of those things have a bell assigned to it, and up till now it's been fairly quiet. Now it's starting to get louder, and it's going to get harder and harder day to day to ignore it.
Yeah, I can feel that big time. Like I feel like it's a choice a lot of times, because, and we don't even, before we know it's a choice, we want to still, we collectively, I think, still want to be able to be that 3D person sometimes, but also ascend. And you can't really do both. You can't bring all your people with you. You can't bring those attachments with you all the time. But yet sometimes you want to dive down and be that earthly person again and feel those feelings again. So I personally get caught in between that a lot, especially just having so many kids and grandkids, and where I very rarely anymore dip into those feelings, of what would I do if something happened to you, very rarely anymore. But occasionally, a little thought will go on, and I'll be like, wonder if that's going to be a lesson I have to deal with, or what, or not, or something I have to deal with in this earthly time. I don't believe it is at this point, but I feel that, like, me trying to figure it out on my own and then still keep on ascending, but yet hang on a little bit, and Spirit's like, no. I'm going to shake that up for you right now, or I'm going to make something, but also I see myself sometimes now creating my own little drama because I'm bored, and creating my own stuff because I just get bored with what I'm doing. So it's like a lot, and then I'm like, well, how am I going to let it play out this time? And, how am I going to make it work this time? And then, so it becomes kind of a game too, trying to cling on to the attachments.
And that's, I mean, there are as many different approaches as there are sentient beings on this planet. So your approach is unique to you, how you go about it. So I agree with you. I'm bored. So I kind of do some of the same things, and I notice I've put some things off. And I'm not saying I still have a choice to keep putting it off, but now it's harder to put it off. Well, it's kind of like your snooze went from being 5 days to now it's 15 minutes, and it's getting shorter every day, and it's getting louder. So every time the snooze goes off, it's more, you can't just ignore it. You actually have to do something, even if it's to postpone it. You have to physically or mentally think something about it and know it's right there. It's not no longer way in the back. It's sitting right there on you, and it's going to be like an ache.
Yeah, it's energy.
It's almost like being forced to graduate from college when you don't want to. You just want to keep on taking more classes, and they're like, no, it's time. You got to go.
Like you finished your program.
like the comedian at the buffet. You've been here for an hour. You go now.
now.
He pulled up a chair to the buffet.
Yeah.
I think that was not John Candy. Louis Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's who it was.
Go now.
Yeah, so it's the main, not like other things aren't getting activated and pushed around, but this specifically talks to our 3D attachments, because it's those 3D attachments that are anchoring us into the lower frequencies, into the still to stay in the 3D. And it's kind of like, hey, what are you doing? Are you going or are you staying? You going or you?
Yeah.
So it's no one's doing it to you. You're doing it to you.
Yeah.
So it's, if you want to get bothered or angered at someone, be angry at yourself, because you're doing it to you, to say, okay, it's time to, and it's kind of like something has prompted this, because something on this planet is prompting it. So certain things have fallen into place, and enough to where it's making this more prominent now.
Yeah. Every time we talked yesterday and today, it's coming up too. I keep getting this vision of tumblers, when things click and something drops, and I keep getting that vision that there's been some major tumblers drop, in the recent past. And it's just like now something is, maybe the door open up and it's opening, and that new energy is flowing in, and it's sparking this, and it's sparking movement and momentum, a lot of different things.
Yeah, I think those tumblers have been happening all throughout history, but very slowly. And all of a sudden, just recently, they just started exponentially speeding up. And it's kind
I agree with that.
It's like, if you've ever played Tetris, it's like that and then all of a sudden, as further you go in the game, it starts getting faster. And then you're like, oh my gosh, they're just dropping. You can't really keep up. So that's kind of what's happening now.
Yeah, I mean, my vision, the way that things look is changing for me even more so than it had before, almost where, like, today I was outside and I try to go ground my feet every day, first thing in the morning. And I looked over at the trees behind my house, and they just looked almost like they weren't real. You know what I mean? And they're the same trees. And I'm like, okay, because if this is like kind of my illusion that I've kind of built myself, but the trees stay in the same place, and could I focus that much attention to have them be, they're really not there. They're just, I'm making them be there. So I just kept thinking, this whole situation with that, and how if we move, I would miss my trees. I'm like, well, maybe I could just bring them with me.
Manifest new ones, or even the same ones. I mean,
but then because I can't be attached to my trees, right? I mean,
you shouldn't be. That's the whole thing. Is like the first item. What are you attached to? I mean, being attached to something. I mean, we didn't even discuss that. What does it mean to be attached to something?
Yeah. So it's you need something from it.
Yeah, you can't live without it, or it alters you, or whatnot. Are you being the best you by being attached to things?
No.
That's what I say.
Yeah, that's what I say personally.
Different answers. You can be the best sovereign you if you're not attached to things. Doesn't mean you don't love things. Doesn't mean you don't care for things. It just means you're not going to be attached to it.
Right.
Whereby you're not a separate entity. It's you're attaching your energy to it. So whatever happens to it or them happens to you.
Right.
Well, I would even say that you love them even more by not being attached, because in attachment there's expectations.
Yes.
Which if you don't have an attachment to it, you can be full of compassion and love for it without having a demand upon it or person.
Any expectation from it at all. I agree, because we might have to move. We just found out, and we've been there 5 years, just about 5 years, and I've loved it there. We've talked about moving. We want to buy something anywhere, buy some land or something. but it might come sooner than later. So I started thinking about it, like really thinking about leaving this place that I've been, and I've literally almost been inside the house like for 5 years. So I work there. I'm there all the time. It's not like I go for very long, when I'm gone. And Mackenzie's grown up there. And then I was like, well, I just really want to appreciate the time I have now and just love it while I can. And then if we go, we go, because it'll be time to go, and it'll be okay. I'll be fine either way, just I'm always okay. And I'm not going to miss it, because I can actually always go and remember it and think about it if I want to. I really don't I don't really think about memories anymore. As like good things, sometimes a memory will pop in my head and I'm like, oh yeah, that was fun, but I don't like think about, oh gosh, I need to have, anything. My dad's sister, I remember speaking to her, and she was just so sad. This was not that long ago. So sad about missing her childhood home and her parents and that feeling and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so sad for her. Just not, she has like so many grandchildren, such a life now but living in that past, and really not happy, sits in a chair all day and just thinks about her parents and that security, and it's like, it just made me so sad. And it really made me think about what I want for my future. And, when I grow old, what I want my kids to have to worry about me thinking of, that I'm so sad all the time and needing them or something. So I don't want to put that energy out to them either, so it's thinking forward, thinking backward.
That's the other part of attachment, is what are you doing to that person by being attached to them? You're probably dragging them down. We talked about this a while ago. We hear people all the time, I love you, man. I love you. I love you. It gets so used that it's kind of, we need to bring back, the new love. But I told her, my showing my love for her is when she tells me she wants to do something, even if it's without me, what I say is, I don't care. Because I'm truly detaching myself from her for that, to say, do whatever you want. I don't want to be a drag on you. I don't want to hold you back or keep you from doing something. No, don't leave me, or don't
right.
Don't go without me. I mean,
you're my security blanket. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say you can love something more fully without the attachment, because
that's what I've been thinking. It's free. I personally think love should be completely free, and there's really not anything anyone could ever do to make me not love them that I love. I mean, I love everyone. I mean, all of my children's fathers, we're still in each other's lives. Like, I mean, I try to love everybody because I just love to love. I'd rather love somebody and be willing, I'd rather be vulnerable to get hurt and love them than not have loved them in the first place. Right. I'm at that place, Yeah,
I mean, that's where we're going. We're going back to our bliss.
That's part of why I'm here. I know, I'm here to help the collective learn the new love. I know that's part of the message that I've been getting. I'm supposed to help be a shining example of what real true love is, unconditionally, without restrictions, in a free way. That's what I'm trying to teach my kids.
Yeah. We show by example, because everyone has to do it themselves. They have their own blocks, their own obstacles to their bliss. So no one can come and tell them how to do it exactly, because their variables are different. But
it's even hard to teach my own children. I mean, I should try to show them by example, but trying to teach them things, it's very hard to teach it. Like even your own kids, how that feeling of love. Even when they get mad or at school, like when people are mean to Charlotte, and I'm like, well, try to be loving anyway. Just even try to teach that. It's very hard. They have to go through their own stuff. They're going to have to go through their own pain and put up those walls sometimes that you can't even protect them from in that way. Being a parent, you have to still let them have that stuff to figure out their own way to love. But like you said, I can only show them by how I behave, and it's not always easy.
Well, and that reminded me of that Hopi, the article we read with the Hopi parable or poem, and it was said that when you're holding on to something in the 3D, it's like holding on to the river bank while the river is flowing hard. It's very hard to do. It's easier to let go of it and let the river carry you.
Yeah.
And so that those things that we're attached to, we're holding on to it, and it's just beating us up, when we can't let go of it.
That's a good one. Yeah, I love that.
And this next one kind of goes along with, in fact, a lot of this obviously will. The next one is, are you invoking lower energy to your desires?
Mhm.
And that's why they're not manifesting.
I actually just had a conversation about this on the way here today. I'm at my daughter's house with a friend. Yeah, I think that's how, I think I always have done that. Because even with the car I have now, it's an older car. It doesn't have AC. And I could trade it in. I could get a new car, but it's only got 70,000 miles on. It's like a 2007. And I think, oh, but I love that it's, that it's so worth, I could really use this car, but I could get a new car. So I'm always in that contradiction. But when I finally decide if I want something, I get it. So then I always notice that if there's the contradiction of, it used to be, oh, I'm not good enough to have that. Now it's more like, I'm just all over the place with my thoughts of, do I want to live here? Do I want to live there? So I'm not going to have any fruition to anything until I can focus my energy into one actual place. Mm-hmm. So I've seen that shift, but I think that's how it always works until you can get out of your own way, learn to get out of your own way, which is, again, I don't know if anybody can teach anybody that either,
No, I mean, the best you could do is be a shining beacon and for your own. And when people ask you, how did you do that? It's like, well, my method's not going to work for you, but I can give you some general guidelines about how I was living, how I'm living my life that actually fosters the manifestations and getting what I truly want, making it happen, versus I want this to happen, but I'm applying the wrong energy or the lower frequency energies to it. So making sure that it stays in 3D, it doesn't rise up where you really want it to go.
And that,
but being willing to, I'm sorry, Gina, I keep cutting you off. Being willing to tell somebody the truth about if they are in their own way, I think is important, though, as a teacher or a friend or anyone. If somebody is asking you and they are in their own way, don't be just like, oh, it's going to be okay, and try to coddle them. I'm always like, well, look in the mirror, because maybe your thought process about this is what's going on. So to be completely brutally honest with people and tell them the truth, if they're asking you, not like go and tell them if they're not asking, but if someone truly wants your help, because I've had a lot of friends just fall off because they don't like me telling the truth. They want to hear, oh, poor thing, I love you, it's going to be okay. And I'm like, well, if you would stop doing that, maybe that would stop happening, and they don't like to hear that a lot of times. So,
well, we've had conversations about this, about being service to self first before your service to others. Because if you can't put your oxygen mask on when the plane's going down, you're only going to be able to probably help one person before you succumb to the smoke. So you've got to take care of yourself, and it's also managing your service to self, because being service to self is not bad. It everything in moderation. It's how you do it. Do you leave room after your service to self to then be service to others? So we talked about a dual confirmation kind of flow. When I think about going to do something, the first confirmation is, does that resonate with me? And so I get to that point, and if it's yes, then I've got my first confirmation. That's as far as most people go. To me, part of ascension is growing beyond the single you, and that invokes the being responsible, and that's where the dual confirmation comes on. It's all right, I got my single confirmation, that's the service to self, that's the easy part. The harder part is being responsible to others. And when someone says, hey, I want this or whatever, and I know I should be blunt with them, do you get the second confirmation that says, be responsible about whether or not you tell them, and are you the one that should be telling them?
Right.
So if you get that second confirmation, then you're being service to others while still respecting your service to self.
I typically tune in. I always keep tuning in.
Well, if you don't get that second confirmation in this scenario, what can happen is you think you're being service to others. Like you think by telling them it's going to help them, but actually it's just alleviating your discomfort with recognizing where their gap is. So if you don't have that second confirmation from them, then it really is still a service to self thing. It's not a service to them. So does that make sense?
Yeah, we talked about this because most people, they have good hearts. We all have good hearts.
Yeah.
But when we go to help people, are we really helping them the best way we should be helping them? And are we helping them for the right reasons? Most of the time, we're not. I know when I've gone to help people in the past, it's to clear my conscience.
Yeah.
It's not for the higher good. It's not.
In the past, that's how I was too, but not anymore. I mean, anymore, I pretty much tune into my higher self before I have a conversation with anybody. You know, like I kind of like just try to get tuned in, tapped in, turned on, whatever it is. But I try to like always go higher self. Like let's keep this. I'm very ritualistic with my intentions nowadays with everything I do almost. Whereas it used to be very willy-nilly or whatever it was. But it's more like if I just have a friend who's been down the same path several times, I guide a lot of people like a Wayne Dyer or a Abraham type of thing, not saying this will help you, but I'll say this has helped me. You might find it helpful to you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they can go and find, like, maybe that'll open up a door for them to find somebody else on YouTube or whatever it is to guide them. But I don't feel like I ever really do anything for a selfish motive anymore to make myself not uncomfortable. I'm just never really uncomfortable anymore. You know, I just don't have that. I'm different. I'm not like, I'm just different. I'm different than I used to be. I don't think about myself feeling comfortable or uncomfortable. Like if the AC's out, I'm okay now. Whereas I used to be like, oh my God, this is just, I can't, you know, and now I'm just like, it's fine. You know, and if nobody can really make me uncomfortable in my own skin, just like, cause if I stay in that place, I'm good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I just don't ever, I don't know. Like I don't enable people or tell them things that they shouldn't hear, but, I definitely know how to do it with a heart. You know what I'm saying? Like I would never be like, listen, buddy, you need to look in the mirror. I have done that with my boyfriend. I'll tell you, I have done that with him. And that's my biggest lesson with communication, because it was me always imposing my will and for my own self, my own feelings. And I didn't realize that for many years. We talked about that today. And, now, because I even said, I was like, I don't need you to be anything for me. I don't need you to take me to dinner if it's going to make you uncomfortable to take me to dinner because I want to go to dinner. But I used to expect that out of you, you know, or I would tell him how much of a dirtbag he was or how he was in his own way. And it wasn't nice ever, you know, I was horrible, but I was justified in my own mind, you know? So yeah, I know what you're saying about that though. I totally get that. I've watched my mom do that with my brother her whole life. Like, try to guide him for her own self, you know, and make her own self comfortable. Mm-hmm. Just never works.
I think we're all working on getting our side of the equation squared away, which is the service to self, mostly, and then starting on the service to others. More and more stuff is coming online, more wisdom about how to handle these type of situations. In order to get that dual confirmation, that it's being a responsible sentient being, not human, responsible sentient being. Yeah. And there is no guidebook about how to do it. It's more a matter of the flow happens. You get the first confirmation, and then you expand yourself to touch that person or that other group's energy and be able to get a flavor of it and see if the second confirmation comes in. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to get better at. I don't want, just because someone asks me a question, I'm going to be blunt with them. Right. I am typically blunt with them, but I don't want that to become just Tim's blunt. That's just Tim. That's Tim. I want that to be one of the options that I have. Right. So that I'm not just considered that way.
Well, and to the point is, when you're asked also is sometimes not answering is
Yeah, well,
the biggest service, because answering it could stifle their growth. So,
Yeah.
so that's it as well. We've talked about that.
yeah. I mean, it isn't always your job to tell someone their problem or their weakness, or it may be, because why did they enter your energy? Why did they came to you somehow around your energy for a reason. Now, I realize there are many more options than just saying, oh, well, they came to me, so they want me to be blunt with them. Well, maybe not, because there's many other options. There's a little bluntness, there's a medium bluntness, and then there's varying degrees of,
Fire hose.
damn, that's blunt, kind of thing. So me becoming responsible, sentient being, is opening myself to that, to say, I have more room to grow in this area, and more wisdom and knowledge is coming online. So any answer I get right now is going to be based on my limited knowledge that is online with me, or I'm online with it right now, because I know that's expanding. Things are just coming online. I don't know how I know it. I just know it. But if I know it today, but I didn't know it yesterday, but I was giving out bluntness yesterday, was it wrong? It was based on what I knew yesterday.
Yeah. See, I don't ever overthink any of that. Like, I don't get into that loop of thinking about if I did something that might have been wrong anymore. I go on faith almost with everything now. Like, I just, if it feels right, if I feel joy about it, it's good. I'm good about it. If I don't do it. You know what I mean? I just completely go on faith. And it seems to be working right now. I'm in a good manifesting flow right now, but I'm being very intentional, meditating every day, keeping my practice up. I'm doing the 40-day abundance challenge, which is mind blowing too, or plan. It's not a challenge. I don't know what I'm calling it. It's a challenge for me to stick to a plan. So that's why it's a challenge. But when I stay in that place of intention, everything flows good, and spirits and it just seems to guide me properly. So when I don't stay intentional, and I know that, and then I start getting into that place of, I don't know if I'm going to ever have that happen again at this point, though, because I feel like I've kind of hit this, I don't know, I feel like I've ascended to this place where I'm not going back down anymore to that. Lately, just since my birthday, it's been a lot of stuff.
Yeah, things happen in cycles. Usually, hopefully that's the case for you.
I've thought that a number of times, and then got smacked in the head with something that made me feel like I went backwards, but I wasn't. It's kind of like I went up, and then said, "Okay, I'm on upward momentum," and then boom, next thing I know, I'm not going backwards. I'm just going sideways.
So that you can go up higher.
So that I can. Yeah. Do you really get this point? Do you really know where you stand on this? Can you wake up tomorrow and be in the flow with it, and sleep soundly at night, and be comforting? And it's happening more and more where the answer is yes, but just last night I got smacked in the head with something that I thought I had I'm not saying I had all the answers to, but I thought I had my new approach, from the new, more aware me, and I realized I slowly was falling back into my old trap. So, but I'm glad now I see it.
Yeah.
It makes me ask these questions about, am I being responsible? Not just to others, but am I being responsible to myself?
Yeah, we talked to associated with that. Are you when you just invoking lower energy to your desires? We talked a little bit about that too, of how the things that we have as programming or patterns in us that we automatically think it's too easy, or it's too, it's like you get something or you feel the flow going that way, and then all of a sudden you're going like, wait a minute, there must be something I'm not seeing, and all of a sudden you're bringing in a doubt or a lower vibration to whatever that flow is. It can be easily kind of catch you, just from our being safe and having fear and growing up with that all of our lives. So that's what it spoke to me when you read that.
Yeah, it is against, we all have brainwashing. Doesn't matter if you're living here, if you're living in the 3D, you have brainwashing. It doesn't matter who did it or whatever. We have programming.
I feel like I signed up for it ahead of time because I wanted it. Like, I feel like this lifetime, everything that I've had and dealt with and been through, I feel like I signed up for all of it ahead of time because I wanted to learn it and I wanted to feel it. Like, I feel like I pre-planned all of it because I've been through some crazy stuff, like some really painful things, really emotional things. But now looking back, what I know based on my experience, I know I did it on purpose because I wanted to feel that, go through the duality and learn the lessons and get to where I'm at. And be for my daughters, I needed to show them, I needed to change my family history, the love, the codependency. I had to get in there and I had to fix it for my family, not for them, for my lineage. That was part of my job here. So I knew that, like, now that I've been through what I've been through, like, I just know that I wanted it all. I don't even regret any of it. I have no, like, I've been raped. I forgive that person and I don't have any feelings one way or the other about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just all exactly what it was supposed to be to get me to who I am. And now that it's like life is a game, like me and Chris, my boyfriend, this morning, we always go down this path of, we're karmic partners and we've been together through many lifetimes and we have a lot to work out. So we're very, like, we can trigger each other like no other. And I'm getting to the point where I see it coming. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do this time with the trigger? How am I going to play with it? And I was able to, like, transmute the energy like that and just flip it around. And there was no drama and it was done. Whereas it used to be, it'd be a day of, like, we were pissed off or he was pissed off, just something, we were snipping at each other. And it's just, now it's like, no, I'm not going to waste this little bit of time I've got, like, scrapping with people who just don't get me. I'm going to just make it work, figure it out. And I'm learning how to transmute those things like that. Whereas it used to take so long. And I don't know. It's like, I know I had the programming, and now that the programming is kind of leaving, it was supposed to be there all along because I wasn't ready for any of the gifts until I could actually shed all the ego in the programming. And I needed that programming. So it was all meant to be. Every bit of it was supposed to be the way it was supposed to be, in my experience.
Well, actually, that's the case for everyone here.
Yeah.
They all planned, they all volunteered to come here on their particular mission and to face the brainwashing. They knew the brainwashing was here. So yeah, the goal is to get everyone where, to where you're talking about yourself, that they're like that, but they have to do it themselves. All we can do is provide, shining beacons about when they come and engage you and ask you for, information about how you got there.
Yes.
Not to save them, not to do it for them, because that's just going to make them dependent on you then. So
it's more codependency, and that's more of that. It's like that, almost that teacher complex. I went through an archetype class where we kind of went through and healed a lot of these different archetypes that we come through with different lifetimes. We had to, like, shed, if we've had a vow to, I'm going to protect this person. It was lifetimes ago, but we still have that stuck within our DNA, and we can't, for some reason, we can't not protect the certain person. That's an example. But I went through this class, and that's, like, people do get that way where they feel like they're responsible. It's almost like the religious thing. Like, I have to save you. I have to save you. But some people are not meant to be. And we have to use our own discernment because they have to go through those things. It's not up to, like you're saying, it's not up to us to show them that they're supposed to save themselves. They have to have that feeling or have that niggling within them that makes them want to go further and want to know more. I don't even talk to anybody anymore unless they talk to me. But I used to go out when I was still drinking and partying and stuff. When I was first awakened, I'd be like, guess what? And I'd try to be everybody's teacher and try to help everyone and save everyone. And some girl told me I was annoying. And I was. Of course, it hurt my feelings back then. But now they come to me, or I don't really talk to them about stuff. I just don't. I don't want to push it down anybody. So everybody thinks I'm weird that used to know me anyway. They all just think I'm crazy.
When you think about trying to save somebody else or needing to help somebody else, that means we think that they aren't capable of doing it on their own. Right. And so, if we have the belief that everybody is, a whole being and can do it on their own, I mean, it's not saying we don't help each other, But if that pressure of, oh my gosh, they're never going to get this, or if I don't tell them this, they're not going to know it, or, that part is really a saying that that person is not whole and capable within.
And it takes away their confidence. That's how a child loses their self-confidence, with a mother that will sit there and do everything for them. Mm-hmm. I kind of grew up in a feathered nest that way. And it took me a long time to shed it. And I was mad at my mom for caring too much, for a long time I was mad at her for feathering my nest. I'm like, why was I mad at her? She was just trying to be nice. Yeah, it's hard to use that discernment though when you're especially first awakening, and you want everybody to feel as good as you're starting to feel, or you just want everybody to feel as good as you do, especially light workers who want everybody to be happy. But
you had to get there, and so they have to get there, and it's like if you take that struggle away, it's like the butterfly. If you peel the cocoon off, then the butterfly will never fly. So it's like, that's where the double confirmation comes in. Am I, full, wholly in myself? Is this okay for me? Yes. Is this going to be helpful and beneficial for them? And if the answer is, yeah, they probably need to do it on their own. It may be a bit uncomfortable watching them struggle, and it may be a bit uncomfortable, not holding back, and not like telling them, but it's the best for them, and then you get to see the glory of it when they actually make the process themselves.
Well, that's what I talked about.
Yeah, raising my kids too. Like with my daughters, that's how it is too. Like I used to have trouble, not anymore. And now I struggle away.
That's the whole path to responsibility. Is we aren't just born responsible. We came here to be under the brainwashing so we can break out of it and then start to become responsible, and to not just self. Because if you're only responsible to self, then there's nothing wrong with that, but then you're service to self, So becoming service to others is learning the responsibility of being service to others, which means you're not helping them, or you're not doing something to them just because you want to, or it makes you feel better, or it does something for you. It's all right, I've got my side of the equation. Okay, I'm ready to do something about this, but it's checking on their side to say, do they really need me to do this? Or would it be better if they did it themselves? Yeah. So that's just becoming more responsible. And I think that only happens after you get the service to self side squared away.
Yeah, which is part of the I'm still working on myself. Yeah. It's the serving, and I kind of call it servicing yourself. I mean, that has kind of connotations. It's service. It's taking care of, it's not like serving. I always had difficulty with serving self, being self-serving, that kind of feel. But it's kind of taking full care of yourself. So if you feel depressed or lonely or any lack of anything, it needs to come from you. You need to figure out how you're going to get it, not by using other people to get it, but you in your mind and in your beliefs and experiences and practices, feel that within yourself. And to me, when we talk about self or serving self, it's really that making sure your tank is full, not through other people.
The way we do it is we do things for others that we won't do for ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that is there anything that you're doing for others that you haven't done for yourself? Well, there's where you need to do work for yourself. Because only then can you really start to then help others and become responsible. If you're not responsible to yourself, how can you be responsible to someone else? I think that's the important thing.
Exactly.
All right, next one is called incoming dragon energy.
I have seen dragon stuff all over the place.
I have too. I see it all over the place now. Dragons, new shows on dragons, new movies on dragons. People just invoking the word dragon. Like there'll be some paragraph on something and then they throw in dragon, and it's kind of like,
doesn't even fit.
It doesn't
really.
even fit, but there it is, blatantly sitting there.
Yeah.
And it's like they got this thing from the outside. They just had to fit it in somewhere. So I just see all this dragon energy incoming, that it's kind of like what we talked about. Well, it was in the yesterday video, is to know your dragon. It empowers wisdom, fortitude, bravery, and magic. We all have it. Yours might be a unicorn, or it might be a centaur or a fairy or whatnot, but basically it's your inner dragon and the energies associated with it. Well, the universe is throwing us dragon energy to awaken that dragon. And that's what's going on right now. And how it awakens you, some people don't like to be awakened. So it may make you very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Other people, it starts to make them feel good. They start getting those moments of bliss and becoming settled, just feels good kind of thing. And then it may go
well-being. Yeah.
Well, I think that, as you say that, I think that's partially what maybe I've been feeling. When I said I feel out of body or bigger than my body, it's like I've had this feeling for about a little over a week now, where it's like I don't fully fit inside my body anymore. And yeah, I think it's kind of that expansion, that different energy that's in there. Maybe that's part of the dragon energy is what's coming to me. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and it starts, if you think about dragons, it's like flame, heart, it's a lot about the fire. And
it's not this, it's this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So always about the heart.
The next one is time to face you. External things will begin to reveal the true you. So we thought we knew the real us, but you were only seeing a facsimile of you under the programming, under the guardianship of your family members, your friends, the groups you belong to, all the attachments. That was just a facsimile of you. And now, as we break away from those attachments and those groups and other things and become the more sovereign you, the more you characteristics are coming out, the true you.
I feel like I took my meditation teacher training last year, and the class is called Grow Up, because it does. You have to face like every part of yourself, and it's not fun. It was like the most uncomfortable thing. I faced my shadow last year, and I think that's where it comes into with a lot of people in ascension. You get to this place where you think, oh, okay, it's rainbows and butterflies and it's love and light, and then comes the shadow, and a lot of people are like, okay, never mind. It's like it separates the men from the boys, if you will, because it's like if you're going to go through, once you finally go through that door, it's like you're pregnant and you cannot not give birth to that baby. As much as you were like, oh gosh, I don't want to, it's like once you face that shadow, you've got to go all the way through it, and it's just you're giving birth to that baby, and it is almost like giving birth to it because it's a new you. That's kind of what I took to because when I first started in ascension, gave up with Jesus Christ and all Christianity, all that stuff. When I went through shadow, I found it again, the Christ conscious energy in that new way, and that's kind of what I felt like was almost a resurrection, what it meant to be reborn, like in your body, but different, totally different, but the same, So it's, sorry, I went off on that tangent, but
but that's a good example, is that before you were attached to that religion, you had to let it go, break that attachment, and then rediscover it without going through an attachment process.
Right.
And that's
I actually rediscovered it Wings on the Ground. That's when it started coming back to me, and then I've now gotten back into having Christ, even feeling Christ consciousness. So it's been nice.
Yeah, and doing it without attachments allows you to be you, the sovereign you, which is the most freeing and the most um, limitless way of discovering you, because everything else is going to limit you in some form or fashion.
Yep.
So that's what we're doing, is we're letting the dragon out, and we're saying, do whatever you want. I mean, whatever you feel like doing, whatever resonates with you. We're not gonna, I mean, try to tame your dragon once it's free.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've had to tame the dragon a little bit.
yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you can dictate. It's your dragon. You can dictate to it, but it's like you said. Once you find these things out, you're giving birth to it.
Yeah,
You may not want to, but once it's been implanted and you've been impregnated with that idea and that feeling or whatnot, you're going to birth it. So you can sit there and try to control this and try that, and maybe even convince yourself that you're doing it, but in reality, you are coming out.
Yep.
Another.
Yeah.
I know. It's forcing me out right now.
Exactly.
And I mean, birth is natural, and that's you birthing yourself is natural. It's so you can't really control nature. You know, no Gaia, no, I'm not ready. Gaia says, sorry, but this train's moving.
Yep.
So the next one is dancing in the storm, finding your rhythm in the wind.
I'm good at that.
It's easy to be a fair weather friend. It's easy to be good when things are good, when things are flowing well for you. But when whatever you call unsettledness or turmoil or Armageddon, apocalypse, whatever it is all facing all the people around you, can you find your rhythm? Can you dance in the storm? Because for a lot of people, what we're in now and what we're driving into deeper is the storm. I mean, like the Q follower says, the storm is upon us. For a lot of people, that's exactly what it's going to be or feel like. It's going to earthquakes. And, I mean, the weather around the globe has already gone crazy with the flooding and the hail and making records all over the place. We had record snows. So
snows.
So for some people, when they get hung up on all this, it's a storm, and they've got to weather it. They've got to get through all that. Whereas for those who are ascending and have basically said, these are all props in my play, and so now I'm going to in my play, I'm going to start playing some music. You know, I know these storms are going on, I know these earthquakes and all this going on, but I'm going to play some music because I want to dance. I want this to be fun. I don't want to get through life. I want to live life. So.
And that all the more reason why no attachments.
Yep.
Because the storm can rip you apart if you are trying to hold on to something while you're, you know, you've got to be free and be able to float and get carried and drop somewhere and, you know, be able to be comfortable in your own skin and that.
I was lucky enough to go the nervous breakdown ascension route.
Whatever worked for you. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a nervous breakdown in all of us.
Yeah.
You know, some people may classify it as something else or whatnot, but there's you know, why have we been using the terminology dark night of the soul? It doesn't mean it's one night. It doesn't mean it's this deep. It doesn't mean that it's this wide. It just means there's a momentary flip of yourself when you're no longer looking at life this way. You flip over and now you're walking forward instead of walking backwards, making sure nothing's chasing you.
Right.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah. So that's that one. The next one, conjuring your future. What does it look like? Who's with you? What are you doing? And are you limiting even that?
I don't know. You know, that's a good one, because I just had my solar return, and I did like a like a ritual basically with wishes and things like that, where you put your intentions into the future, what you want your year to look like, basically. And I strongly believe it's going to happen that way. But I don't know if I'm limiting myself, because I'm always just like, I think I sit at home or whatever I'm doing, and if I have no plans, I'm like, is there anything I want to do, or is there anything I need, or is there anything I need to be doing? And I don't know if I could be going and doing something. So I don't know if I'm not limiting myself by not doing something, or if I'm just okay all the time because I'm not, I don't really think about it anymore. I'm just okay. I mean, I've got small children, so I've got to do, that's my God-given job, what I call my, first priority, my dharma on this planet. So I have to always think of them first, till they're thinking of themselves. So I don't know if I'm limiting myself. I don't think so. I think I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel like I used to limit myself when I would agree to things because I didn't want to be judged for not doing them. Mm-hmm. Like, even as much as if doing something for the human trafficking thing, I don't want to put my energy into that at all. I don't like it. I have compassion for it, but I don't want to think about it, and I don't want to even deal with it. And before I would have done it anyway because I didn't want to look bad and I wanted everybody to think I cared. Now I'm like, no, my discernment's telling me don't put your energy there. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to, you know what I mean? So simple things like that have changed, where I think, I don't know, I guess. And I don't know if I care, really.
Well, yeah.
I would just say that's part of it, but when I say, are you limiting, even I'm talking about when you think about your future. Mm-hmm. Even in your future view, are you limiting yourself because of where you've come from? Mm-hmm. Because where we've come from for a lot of people leaves a mark.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
And it's hard. It's kind of like, the prison cell doors are open. Some of us are venturing out, but it's kind of like, are the prison guards going to feed us? We're still tainted. We still have that mark of the prison on us. So we can't help it for a lot of us, whereby it taints even when we start living within the seconds. Mm-hmm. Are we, when we think, like when we daydream and we think about our future, like there's no war, and everyone gets along and we're all collaborating and working together. Mm-hmm. And then you start picturing yourself in that future. Mm-hmm. Are you still limiting yourself?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying I'm trying to say springboard. If you're thinking this, then you can think this. Right. And if you can think that, you can think this. And it goes until infinity.
Yeah. Right. Well, I shed a lot of lack mentality from my childhood. I grew up with a lack family. It was always like, oh, can we afford it? Can we afford it? And I don't want my kids to grow up thinking, oh, I have to model my life over what I think I can afford. So I've been trying to shed that lack mentality like my whole adulthood. Well, I know what you're saying by that. I don't think so anymore, but for sure I did for a long time. Everything I would think would be based on my small-minded life I thought I could only have based on what I was programmed for. But now I feel like I can have whatever I want, but I just don't really want anything. So it's like, I just kind of, where am I supposed to go is I'm just trying to figure it out.
Well, what comes up for me when you said is like envisioning, okay, so we don't have any wars, we have all peace, everyone's collaborating. Are we thinking about, but we can teleport from here to here this afternoon and have lunch there, we can or, are we envisioning beyond where we have technologies that, we can just think of what we want and it's there? And are we thinking, it's that kind of thinking it hasn't been in our existence up to this point. So are we, what I get when you ask that is, are we limiting our future dream to only those things over which we're familiar or think is possible or probable?
Right.
It can be anything. Like we could jump to Jupiter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I was saying, our past is kind of imprinted on us. So yes, we're thinking about the future where there's no war and all these good things, but it's kind of like, well, shit, that you could see that in movies and you could read that in books. So are you expanding it even further beyond anything we've read that's written in books or whatever? have you gotten to the point where you're creating planets, where you're creating universes, where
like us as our human self right now, or as our souls like going forward? You mean as our human this lifetime right now?
Is there a difference?
But I think there is. I mean, I think because if we're in this, like my life on this planet, what I have envisioned for me is going to be different than me as a soul when I'm done with this planet. You know what I mean?
But that's a limit. Yourself. That's a limit right there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
No.
But I'm also saying there can be more. We can have more on this planet right now, right this very second.
Right.
If people like us started saying, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Why can't I go out right now and create a planet or create a universe? I mean, because if I show the path to that, then other people are going to say, well, I can't ignore that. I see it. It's right there. It's like just that sci-fi movie I watched last night where war was eliminated. Well, you can't unwatch it. It's like once you're pregnant, you can't not be pregnant. So it's not a bad thing. It's
not at all.
Well, you said color this purple, so I did. Well, make it more purple. What do you mean more purple? Expand your mind.
Yeah.
Right.
More purple.
Well, that's one thing I've thought of too, is like, what if purple to me is not purple to you? You know, like purple look different. I've always thought about that. I don't know. I don't know if it's like my yogi stuff or whatever. I feel kind of like Earth is like a school where we're supposed to learn feelings and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like we don't know how to feel bad, so we have to learn it so that our soul can figure it out. Like that's my take on it a little bit. It's like we're here to feel that horrible stuff, to deal with some of the horrible stuff, because we're supposed to know what it is, so that we can know when we're done with this planet what humans feel and what feelings are in that regard. So it's like, how can we have our karmic lessons if everything's healed? You know what I mean? Like if there's no war or there's no duality, then what do we do then? You know, to me, it's like life would be so boring. There'd be nothing to do anymore. So in my experience, I feel like we need all the good, the bad, the ugly in my thought process, because that to me is part of the point of it, you know, is like going through all that shit. But I see what you're saying. Like, I think anything's possible. I think if you focus your energy on anything, if you have the amount of time, even on this earthly planet, if you were to spend all day focusing on growing another limb on your body every day, that you would be able to do that. But nobody has the actual time enough on this planet to focus that much energy into generating a limb with their mind. You know what I'm saying? We're kind of limited with time, I guess, or limited.
But that's exactly what I'm starting. That's exactly what I'm starting is, what if tomorrow you could levitate?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, you're levitating and you could levitate your kids. How would that change your life?
Wow, that'd be cool. Or if I could clean the house in my mind, that'd be great.
So I feel like everyone has told us how we needed to suffer, how we needed to go through war, how we needed to work, and how to go through that and be that. Okay, that's great. But if you're telling that person and you're telling that person, well, we've told enough people. We've already lived that existence. So why not break that mold?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well,
done with that.
This time we're going to go through war, but we're going to do it differently. We're going to do war, and so that we can learn even more lessons than we learned through the old way of the war that was inflicted on us. Now we're going to do it another way. It's like playing the game while you're rewriting the game. Right now, we've just been living the game.
Right.
That's all we've really been doing. No, you don't walk outside and see people flying overhead. Why isn't that an option? Why isn't the sky turning purple during the day an option? Why isn't manifesting an orange tree out of the sidewalk an option? Why not? Why not just start altering this 3D reality right now? Because as far as I'm concerned, we're almost done with it. So why not have fun with it? And it's kind of like, we already know who won this match and whatever. So instead of just, okay, we're done, let's just call the game. It's kind of like, well,
we got 20 more minutes.
Let's put all the kids in charge of the government.
I think that might be what they've done.
They can't do any worse than these politicians. So why not start having fun? Can we do any wrong? I don't think we can do any wrong, because I don't think there is wrong. I think there's stimuli, and then I think there's experience based on your variables.
Yeah, and if there's things out there, like we say, we need war to work through things in ourselves. The only reason war is out there is because we have the thought of it in ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost like we talked about this self-fulfilling loop that we get into. It's like, well, you have to do this because this, and we've built into this game the requirement for those things in which we don't want.
We know all the things we don't want. Let's start working on what we do want and do it in the now. Do it actually.
But that's where focused intention has to come. When you know what you don't want, or when you go through what you don't want, then you think, okay, well, I do want this. So instead of thinking how I don't want that, you got to think, oh, I do want this, and then focus the attention on what you do want in a way where the don't want is out of there completely, and then you'll just get what you do want. That's how it works for me anyway.
But I don't want to have to go through any more about what I don't want.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't want. I want to start painting. I want to start painting this world right now and get everyone else motivated to do it, because they already see the part where we go through the scarcity and we go through all the things we don't want, and before we start getting what we want. So we've already tried that. We've already done. We learned the lessons. We pulled in all the experiences. Those are making their way back to source. So now it's kind of like, hey, we've got this party room for another 2 hours. Let's make the most of it. Let's change all the rules.
Yeah.
Let's turn off all the lights and I don't know, get used to operating in the dark and shining our own light, and then utilizing different lights and just throw the rules out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that one could be fun to rehash like over and over and over.
That's good, because you'll get into a loop every time almost. I love it.
Well, yeah, because we were talking about dreaming. You said something, we know what we don't want, so we think about what we do want, and the caution, thinking about what you do want outside the context of what you don't want. All the boundaries that we've had in the past is where the creativity just goes. And kids are the best at it. Little kids especially. They could dream up anything.
Yes, and I let them go crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
We've been conditioned by this matrix that we try to fit it inside this matrix. And I'm saying I want to start like seeing if I can, I don't know, break the matrix. Just
do it.
I want to break it without bringing it down so that we can stay in it.
Yeah.
So it's
shake it up.
Yeah. Shake
like
it.
Boggle. Take Boggle. It's like Boggle.
Yeah. The next one is your life between the lines. Bring it to the new focus. So the lines are, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. So time is programmed into us. So even if we don't know, the actual hour and minute and second, it's like every second we snap to the programming and who we are and what's going on right now. But in between the seconds we're living whole lifetimes, and it's in our imaginations where we're going there, and we can daydream and whatever. Your seconds, your lines may not be just 1 second apart, but it doesn't matter. You go there, you have freedom of reign, you can do whatever you want. And then you come back to you snap back to the line, to the second, and then you go do it again. And then you snap back. But what you remember is all the seconds.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying in this one is take those moments between the lines and start bringing them into the now.
I was feeling that a while ago when we were talking about another one is, this is just one small part of what our existence is. We have so much that goes on outside of this, and we call it dream time or daydreaming or whatever, just a little piece of that. But I totally feel that, what you're talking about. And a little bit to the triune flashing, we splash in and out of existence, I mean, trillion times a second.
Yeah, 200
so it's
trillion
like
times
there's all these 200 trillion timelines or life paths that are
Yeah,
going on within that second.
We're seeing, just a very, very small, this existence right here, being wakeful, is just the absolute smallest portion of existence. Dreams are bigger. We spend relatively more energy and whatnot in our dreams. There's more going on in our dreams than what's going on here. Yeah. We need, it's flipping that over, but you've got to be able to live with it. Yeah,
because I get the feeling of our electromagnetic fields are what keeps us kind of in relation in this earth, and we're flying through space, so our electromagnetic fields click every second, and they pull things back in every second.
Yeah, it's like we expand and then we click too.
Yeah,
and we expand and then we snap to, and then we expand and we snap to. And what we remember is the snap toing.
Yeah.
Because out here we don't have a relation to.
Right. And
it's hard to, if you can't relate to something, it's hard to make sense of it.
And to bring it back into this 3D and be able to talk about it.
Right. Yeah. The reason we all go around talking to each other and talk about the news and the sports and our kids and all that is because we've all been programmed to understand that existence. All the stuff that's outside of that we have trouble communicating. Yeah. But that's because we try to do it with this.
Yeah.
We got to do it with this.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I agree.
All right, the last one is, and this one I can set up in different ways. So this is just a hypothetical, whatever situation, and that you can play around with. If you got smacked really hard and it hurt, I mean, more than just a moment, and it hurt you, it really, really hurt you, but it unveiled true wonders, would you complain?
No.
My current me, no.
Yeah, but
I might for like a split second.
Yeah.
Like, damn, what was that?
Another way to set this up is, if you could go to bed and knew it, go to bed tonight and knowing you were going to wake up tomorrow and this world is gone, your kids are gone, your parents are gone, all your friends are gone, and now you're in a new world where everyone collaborates, everyone gets along, any of the technologies you ever thought about and beyond is all in existence. You can do whatever you want and you live happy with it. You're not bored. You're expansive every day. It's like the universe. You're expanding a little bit more and a little bit more. You're not bored. Every time if you even approach boredom, universe throws all this stuff at you to just start expanding more. Would you do it? If you knew, yeah, but you'd have to say goodbye to your kids. Yeah, you wouldn't see your kids anymore. That you'd be saying goodbye to everything you know right now, knowing you go to sleep and you wake up in a completely different scenario. You'd have your other, family, friends, or whatever, but your attachments, all that would be gone because now you'd be a true sovereign being. Would you do it?
It's kind of like a question it relates to is kind of like, how would you handle your death? We've been always afraid of death, and to me, it's kind of like that. You're like closing the chapter in this 3D existence to then go on to something different and new. In the same way you would handle that, I think you would handle this. So, and it links back to the attachments to the 3D.
Well, death, for a lot of people, they don't know beyond death.
Right.
So
So you're saying here you would know.
You would know that you're going to wake up tomorrow and be in the world the way it was supposed to be. We've been here because the playground is not really a playground. It's a war ground in order for us to learn specific lessons and experience certain things And the only way to do it is go into these lower frequencies
Mm-hmm.
and be bombarded with it and have to fight through it and deal with scarcity and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is going to continue for everyone else that's still here, but you make the decision because you've been offered to wake up tomorrow and you're not in it anymore, and all of a sudden you're a million years in the future. You're just
Well, who's offering though? Because the one thing being a part of the collective, if we're here also working out karmic stuff with other people and we're playing a part in their karmic journey, and I'm taking that away from them by hopping on this new earth, if it's my time and it's like, okay, you've done good, you're done with your work here, you can go ahead and go. But if I'm being unthoughtful of somebody else's situation because I'm directly supposed to play a part in their karmic journey in this moment, then that wouldn't be very nice of me to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
not attached. I'd not be attached because I love them, but just maybe that is an attachment to just what I'm supposed to do or what my, what my duty is here.
Yeah,
but if that's the purpose.
Yeah, because I feel like if that's needed, the universe will provide it, whether it's me or some other means, they would get what they needed, I guess. My thing was I would be curious. So I would want to see if I could find that, if I wanted to approach it as when I wake up in the new place, I want to see, because we don't exist just in this planet. So our children and our energy signatures are in other realms as well. So it would be,
and they haven't always been our children. They might have been other people to us and all that stuff. And I know my kids are star seeds too.
So yeah, I think, but it speaks to the attachments.
Absolutely. That's exactly how I'm letting you go. You guys are doing the lady things, and I think that's great, and that we need that.
Right.
But as a masculine, I'm looking at this going, we're all one.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
your kid,
we are. If we're all one, but also as souls, though, like if we came here because we wanted this experience, but we don't know all of what we're supposed to know yet. I mean, I guess if this isn't the premise of we know everything we're supposed to know, then yeah, of course I'm going to go. But if this is what I signed up for, and I still haven't gotten everything I signed up for, but I don't know that yet because as a soul, I'm not supposed to know all that information yet. In this learning experience.
Yeah, but the way I think about it is if you're trusting the universe, you wouldn't get that. You wouldn't get the offer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, if I got the offer, I'd go. I mean, because it would be something that I was supposed to have. So yeah, why not?
Well, you're kind of bouncing back and forth.
That's how I do everything. That's why That's why I'm not a millionaire, because I manifest crazy.
That's why this is fun, because your answer says something about you. Yeah. It shows whether or not you're limiting yourself or whether you're free floating and you're breaking through your attachments. Because there is no wrong answer. There's no right answer. It's a matter of, well, why wouldn't the universe be offering that to me and not everyone else?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Because if you're a true sovereign being, everyone else
doesn't matter.
I don't care. Yeah. I don't care what they do. Even for your kids, you should be saying, I don't care. You do what resonates for you, even if I don't agree with you.
Right.
But that's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to see your attachments. Mm-hmm. I can think I've broke all my attachments, but as long as I'm in this 3D, I'm going to have attachments. Mm-hmm. You can't escape attachments. It's how we figure out relatively who we are and where we are and what we're doing. We need something to push off of.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly.
Or to be a meaning of our life.
Yeah.
To be a purpose for us.
Yeah.
Or
when
to
you
be
can,
a reason we're here.
I'll say this: when you can pass no judgments and do absolutely whatever you want in the moment, no matter what anyone says, you can look the way you want, you can dress the way you want, you don't worry about offending someone, you all these things that show that you are a complete sovereign being and you are not limited by what others think, then I say, okay, then you've broken through all your attachments. Mm-hmm. But I'll speak for myself. I'm not even close to that.
No.
I'm close. I mean, yoga is the path. I'm not talking about asana. I'm talking about like the legs of like the sutras, all that like helps you with non-attachment completely, because it's all about unity in an unattached way. I mean, it's all we are all the ocean. For a while we're the wave, but then we go back to being the ocean when we're dead. But we're always the ocean. And it's, I don't know, it's just, it's a different attachment because you still have the love, but you just aren't attached to any outcomes because it's nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? Like, it's my kid, her life has nothing to do with me. I'm just the vessel that she came through. I'm here to teach her how to not be with me, you know, how to not need me. That's what I feel like being a parent is, not to be like, you know, like a lot of parents do. It's like, no, go out in the world and do what you can do. You don't need me at all. That's my job, you know? So I definitely have attachments, like, to other stuff. Now that you say that, like, as far as, would I just go run around naked outside and not give a crap? No, I would care what people thought of me. You know what I mean? Yeah. With stuff like that, yes.
So we all have it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're bad.
I'm getting better at it.
Yeah, but it says something about you. Yeah. All I'm saying is, coming here in this 3D was to find out who you are, what you're made of, and what kind of situations you can throw yourself into in order to find out more about, like, I can think that I'm running this fast or I'm jumping this high, but when the video is replayed and I go, oh, that's not what I thought. It's not. We say this. Yeah. You may be lying. You may not be. You may not actually be trying to be honest as much as you can.
Yeah.
But it's until you marry up those two, what are you? What's going on with you? Are you trying to see what's really going on? Or are you focused on this part? And it's, how do you marry those two up? It's, to me, you can't fight it. The only way you can really start to blend those two is to start accepting that it's going on, first of all, whether you want to admit it or not, because only the ego would tell us that, no, I'm I'm not doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then knowing that's why you came here.
Yeah.
If you were done, you'd be done. You'd be out of here.
Right.
You wouldn't be here anymore. So I'm far from done. But now I'm not trying to just trudge through life, try to get through another day. I'm trying to say, what can I squeeze in today? And then I'll try to squeeze in more tomorrow and try to make more out of each day going forward.
Well, my reactional learning days are over. I know that part of my lesson is over, the reacting, the emotion. Now it's intentional learning and intentional, like putting my foot to where I'm going to know. I just know that I'm going to know where I need to go and what I need to do. I don't have any like questions, or I don't care. You know, I just don't have any. I know that it's going to present itself to me because it already is. Like every day I know what I need to do because it just presents itself to me. And I'm lucky that I don't have to worry about time so much, especially now that it's summer and the kids are out of school. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning. I went to bed at 8. I woke up at 2:30. I was going to try to go back to sleep, but I couldn't. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to stay up now, you know, and I just meditated and did my thing. But I don't worry about it. And I just certainly don't worry about what they're doing or you're doing or anybody else is doing or what their path is. I mean, if they need me and they'll ask me, I guess, but I'm just not concerned with any of that. And I don't know why anymore. I don't know. It's a very content place to be right now where I'm at.
Yep. And that's what I think everyone shoots for, is to find that moment of contentness, that where you're in your balance moment. Everything is balanced in your life, and there's nothing you want, because if there were, you'd be going after it. You go get it. So it's you're a feather in the wind.
Weathers storms very well. Yeah.
So, but
that's my goal, is to be like that. It's that picture of the person meditating like in New York where there's craziness going around, but they're just the calm in the midst of all of that. That's my ultimate goal. And it has been my goal, is to be able to maintain my peace, maintain who I am in the midst of everything, and then be the beacon of light when I need to be for whoever wants to come and talk to me, you know. But I don't seek anything anymore. I don't chase anything. I let it come to me. I have an open door policy. You can come, you can go, you know, whatever you want.
Yeah, that's the dancing in the storm, finding your rhythm in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
That's all what we're shooting for.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did dance in the storm the other day. I went outside and danced in the rain in my backyard.
I loved it. I love being out in the rain. Yeah.
So that's all I got.
Yeah.
That was fun conversation.
That was good.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, thanks for coming to visit with us. And
yes, thank you.
fun playing. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the recording off. If we're
Okay.